Woohoo! Hey, Chloe, how you going?
If I was any better, I would be the rainbow and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's how good I am.
I love that.
Guys, like this, you ready? How are you? I'm sure you are amazing. Woohoo!
I love that. I always love that on your YouTube videos when I watch them.
Thank you.
Makes me
and
smile.
the other one is, I feel good. No, 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 no. I knew that I would now. No, 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 no. So good. Yeah, yeah.
Love that.
So the goal is to make sure that everybody else can sing that every day too, that they feel good every single day.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why I have got Rowie here today to just talk to everyone about how important strength training is and moving your body is, no matter how old you are. And we want to encourage our members here at PWRFIT, whether they work with us in the studio, whether they work with us online, to be super fit, healthy, and strong for the rest of their lives and continue without taking a break because of the weather, without taking a break because it's cold, without taking a break because, oh, I'm just not feeling it. We want people to feel happy, healthy, fit, and strong all the time. So,
well, let's just start there. Your one of the benefits of strength training is you get strong bones, and your skeletal system, your teeth are part of your skeletal system. Everybody brushes their teeth, even if they're cold, even if they're hot, even if they're tired, even if they're busy, even if they've got no money. Everyone still brushes their teeth. But I think that's because you can see them.
Yeah.
And if you don't brush your teeth, you feel terrible. But if you don't look after your bones, they rot away inside your body. And the only way to keep your bones strong is to overload your muscles, because then your muscles pull on your bones. So why do we disconnect that? We brush our teeth, but we don't look after the rest of the skeletal system. What the hell is that all about?
Exactly. And that's exactly why we work so hard every day to encourage people to make sure they are looking after those bones that are not just here, and how important it is no matter how old you are. And so, Rowie, how long have you been exercising, lifting weights, strength training, and looking after your body, your health?
And thank you for the beautiful question, but it's not about me. It's obviously about the people that you look after.
Yeah.
But I want to be a living example. So I'm asking the mums now in particular. I don't have any children, so I'm very careful when I make this statement. But I want to be an example for kids. And I went looking, when I was 13 years of age, I went looking for fit, healthy, strong human beings that were going to have a great life so that I could use them as a role model. And I've got 4 areas that I think are really important. Be healthy, fit, and strong for the rest of your life and inspire everybody else in your life to do that. Have a career or business that you love. So congratulations, because you do. Be financially free, because money causes too many hassles in the world. And have great people in your life. But if you've got great people in your life, surely you want to be a great person for them. You want to be a happy, positive person who sets the example. So I went looking for that person to be a role model. And I couldn't find any. There were some people that were fit, but they had no money, or they had lots of money, but they were fat, or they had a great job, but they didn't spend any time with their family. I couldn't find anybody that had all of that together. And I just think it's a responsibility. And I don't want to sound like a preacher or pass judgment, but I just think that as adults, we have a responsibility that kids can look into our life and say, hey, it is possible to be fit and strong. So to answer your question, I started teaching classes at 13 years of age, and knew that I wanted to be some kind of fitness exercise person. I now call myself a personal results coach or personal exercise coach. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I wanted people to be healthy, fit, and strong for the rest of their life. So I'm very privileged. I have a base. I started doing silly exercises at 10. Exercised for 3 years on the floor till I was 13. Then at 13, I got up off the floor and started getting puffed. But it wasn't until I learnt my anatomy and physiology and how important it is to have strong muscles and bones that I started doing strength training. And I got caught up in the silliness of women don't do heavy weights. Women do light weights for toning. And let me share with you what toned and untoned is. La, 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 la. That is untoned. Yeah. Muscles can't be untoned. We talk about, I want to have toned muscles. Muscles are either weak or strong. That's it. In a bloke, muscles are either big or small. But in women, we only have the muscle that we've got until we were given what we were given till about 20, 25. That's it. We don't get any more than that. After that, all we can do is look after it. So we either have strong muscles or weak muscles, or we have the muscles we were given, or they're bloody wasting away. And if they waste away, then you get a slow metabolism, you become weak, you become frail, you have falls, you get miserable and grumpy, you get osteoporosis. That's all the stuff that happens if you don't keep your muscle. And the only way to keep your muscle is to overload. And you don't overload. If you can lift 5 kilos and you keep lifting 5 kilos, you're not overloading, you're just wasting your time. Yep. Do I sound like a preacher?
No, I love it. It's making me feel happy.
Hallelujah.
Exactly.
It's not about lifting heavy. It's about overloading your own muscles and your own bones so they keep getting stronger. We can't get bigger. We can just keep getting stronger. And that's why at 60 years of age, come spend a day with me. I can lift rocks and logs and wheelbarrows full of sand, and I lift heavy weight. I certainly haven't gotten any bigger. I've just maintained my strength all of my life. Hope that answers your question.
It sure does. And everything you've just said hopefully inspires everyone here at PWRFIT as well, why we are so encouraging of everyone to pick up a heavier dumbbell. Don't just go for that 2 kilo weight. We know, we can see that you're doing that with ease. Why don't you try the 10, the 12 and see how you go and see how that feels for you? And generally they are always surprised when they can. And they can. And then they get to the point where they're like, wow, I didn't realize how strong I was. I think it's so important for women to remember that. We often, I think we in society, we're supposed to be these quiet, frail people, but no, we want to encourage women to be stronger. We want to encourage women to be mentally stronger as well, which I know is also something you're really passionate about, is talking about mental strength and how important strength training and mental strength, how they connect together. Can you tell us a little bit more about the importance of your mental strength as a woman and strength training?
Oh, and again, this is my favorite area, and I won't call it my area of expertise because I'm learning every day. It doesn't matter how much I know, I'm learning every day.
Yeah.
But our brain controls everything, obviously. And I'm really interested in the chemicals of the brain because I think I've shared with you before, my father died of Alzheimer's and I couldn't understand why. His brain rotted away. Every other part of your body can stay young, your muscles, your bones, they're working on the skin, everything can stay young. Why does the brain rot away? And it doesn't. It only rots away because we let it.
Yeah.
So there's an amazing chemical, and without sounding too pompous ass, there's a chemical called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and it's fertilizer for your brain. It's what keeps your brain young and strong and creative and healthy and not depressed and not anxious. So it makes sure that you have dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, all of the happy drugs that make us feel good. And that chemical, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, is used when we're under pressure. So it's in the fight and flight system where if your body's under threat, if you're under pressure, if somebody's trying to kill you, if you're running away or if you're fighting or flighting, your body produces that brain-derived neurotrophic factor so that next time you have to fight a wild animal, lift something heavy, fight with your boss, find some money to pay a bill, all the things that cause stress, your brain has to be better. Because if you ran away from an animal, what if next time that animal's bigger or faster? Your brain has to be better so you either can run away faster or you can outsmart the animal. So your body's designed to keep you alive, obviously. And women, most importantly, because if there's no women, there's no kids. I get that there's two parts to this, and I'm going to put this very simply. Not only is that system designed to keep us alive, it's designed for us to thrive.
Yeah.
Because we're literally, and whether you like this or not, we're designed to procreate. And if you don't like yourself, if you're depressed, if you think you're fat, if you're having a bad day because you don't like the way you look in the mirror, you're not looking to procreate either. You don't want to have sex. So this brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which one of the big parts of that is oxytocin, the love drug, it's designed for our brain to work really effectively so that we can fight, we can flight, we can overcome stress, we can overcome challenges, and we feel good about ourselves so that we want to have sex. How good does that sound?
Amazing.
I just had a conversation with a lady that's going through menopause, and she said, the worst thing about this is I just don't feel like doing it anymore. I just don't want to. And that's the challenge, isn't it? Now, she's not going to procreate anymore because she's going through menopause, but wouldn't it be awesome to not have to worry about getting pregnant, but still have great sex?
Yeah.
And that all happens when your brain's working well, and your brain only works well when you put it under pressure. Now, when you lift heavy, that's the ultimate pressure, isn't it?
Yes.
If you sprint, that's the ultimate pressure. So if you're not sprinting, getting really puffed at 100% effort, and if you're not lifting at 100% effort, you don't produce those chemicals effectively, which means you don't get all those major benefits. So I'm going to challenge you, your members, the people that you love, your kids, everybody in your life. If you're not puffing at 100% effort regularly throughout the day, and if you're not overloading your muscles so they get really strong, that whole brain chemistry rots away, and you end up with, like my dad, with Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, anxiety, all those horrible brain diseases that we don't need to get if we're really fit and if we're really strong. Do I sound like an evangelist again?
No, I love it. This is so inspiring. It's so inspiring. And it just reiterates how important, again, it really is. Like, strength training, I believe, is like the building block to a better life. If you can lift heavy, if you can do exercise that gets you puffed and makes you feel good and feel happy, everything else in your life is going to work 10 times better than what it would if you were just sitting at home not doing any of that. So that really,
let's go more than 10 times. Your body just doesn't work. We don't stay the same. Whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, even if you're in great shape at 50, if you don't maintain that, you will lose it. If you don't use it, you will lose it.
Yes.
And you'll end up old, fat, sick, weak. That's just how the human race ends up, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
But
and
this is the ultimate story, and I have to share it because it is really the ultimate story. My mother, at 74 years of age, was diagnosed with advanced osteoporosis. That's bone thinning disease. That means you're going to die, literally. And I share that without hesitation, because the stats on osteoporosis, it's technically a women's disease because women don't lift stuff technically throughout their life, yeah? So most women who get osteoporosis, advanced osteoporosis, they're dead within 6 months. They put them in a wheelchair and their life is over. So even if they're not dead in the ground, they're dead because their life is useless. Their quality of life is gone. So my mother was already on a walking stick, and they had ordered her a walking frame, and the next step was a wheelchair. My husband, my gorgeous master's degree in exercise science scientist, said, that's it, enough with this, with the doctors telling you what to do. And he threw her walking stick away, and she started doing strength training that day. She started boxing, which is pressure through your bones, and fast pressure. And she started not just lifting heavy, but she was doing chin-ups and dips and squats with buckets of sand because she wouldn't go to the gym. She ended up loving going to the gym. She loved doing really heavy weight training. At 80 years of age, she went to the doctor for her bone thinning disease, osteoporosis bone scan. And the orthopedic surgeon said, Mrs. Cesarin, we have to do this scan again. There's something wrong. She said, what do you mean? And he said, you don't have osteoporosis anymore. You've got slight osteopenia. So which one of those scans was wrong? And at 80 years of age, you can be a bit aggressive. And my mother was. She stood up to the doctor and she said, I've got strong bones because I do heavy strength training.
Amazing.
So we got rid of osteoporosis. She was boxing, so she pressure through her bones. This is the coolest story. She had a heart attack, went to a heart operation, woke up after the operation. This time the cardiologist said to her, how are you doing? She said, when can I start boxing again? The cardiologist stepped back like this. You should have seen the look on his face. He said, nobody's ever asked me that question before, and definitely not an 80-year-old woman. So, and I'll share very, again, passionately, everybody in my mother's family died under the age of 60 from coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes. They're all sick people, sick and fat. My mother died at 98 peacefully in her sleep. So we gave my mother 38 extra years of life, and that started at 74. So imagine if we all start our little kids on strength training and we keep them strong for the rest of their life. We could be living to 120, 130, 140, and the longevity experts are saying exactly the same thing. If you lift heavy, maintain your muscles and bones, you will stay young and strong for the rest of your life. Yes.
Absolutely. I love that so much. That story is so inspiring, and you've told me that before, and every time I hear that story, I just feel so passionate about what I'm doing and to help others, because I know that every single day, even if people resist wanting to do it, and I encourage them to do it and they do it, I always think of that story in the back of my head, like, you've just got to keep going, because you can start at 80 and still be fit and healthy and strong and still be able
and
to
that's the thing, isn't it? You can reverse it. Doesn't matter how sick, fat, diseased, depressed, horrible you feel right now. And I'm not apologizing for those words, because I, like you, have been working with women all of my life, and I am a woman, and they are the words that women share with me. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to hate what I see in the mirror. I'm sick of having no energy. I'm sick of not fitting into my clothes. Well, doesn't matter how far down the bad track you are, you can reverse that. But the exciting thing is, if you've got kids, they never have to go down that track.
Yeah.
I want to keep our kids so fit and strong that they never have to go on a diet, and they never have to lose weight, and they never get diseased, because they've got the tools at the start. And the tool is be fit and be strong. That's it. That's how simple it is.
Absolutely.
Get puffed, lift heavy, and your life will be different for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. What would you say, because there's a lot of stigma, this is a side note here, there's a lot of stigma around children and exercising and how much they should be doing. Do you mind giving our mums out there, or our nanas out there, a little bit of clarity on how important it is and what they can actually do to make sure they are looking after their bones and they are getting fit and strong and they are strength training and getting puffed? What does that look like for a child?
You're talking to an old lady who was brought up on monkey bars and skateboards and
Yes.
climbing trees and falling out of trees and falling off monkey bars and falling off bikes and getting broken bones, and that was life. And the beautiful thing about the body, you never know how strong you are until you have to lift something heavy. You never know how tough you are until life hits you hard. And all of those tough things that used to happen to our kids that grew up in my age, we've learned how to be tough and we've learned how to be resilient. But we also had the benefit of, and I'll use my mother again as an example, she didn't want to go to the gym. So the first place we took her to was the park. And we got her to just hang off the monkey bars to start with, and then to try and pull herself up on the monkey bars. Kids are doing that already. If kids are playing outside, and I live in the South Island of New Zealand, where there are much fewer, the statistics on overweight kids down here is phenomenal. There's hardly any, because they're outside lifting, biking, skating, skiing, swimming, rock climbing. I don't care if kids don't go to the gym. Why would we take kids to a place where they have to do an exercise program when they could be rock climbing on monkey bars, lifting rocks with their mum and dad in the garden, lifting logs with their mum and dad in the garden, doing physical activity that requires overload of muscles and bones?
Yeah.
The challenge is, if you're a city kid and you don't get to do that, how are they going to have strong muscles and bones? That's when they have to go to the gym, because there's nowhere else to go. If you live in an apartment, or you live in a neighborhood where there's no, or your parents can't afford to take you somewhere, it doesn't mean you don't stop brushing your teeth because you can't afford a toothbrush. You have to find a way to get a toothbrush, yeah? Because otherwise your teeth rot away. Strength training is the same. You have to keep your kids strong, because if they're not strong, they're going to be weak. There's no in between. And here's the really scary thing, Renee, this is really important to me, and I'm not a mother. Osteoporosis, bone thinning disease, used to be an old lady's disease. It was women over 60 who didn't lift things when they were growing up and through their life, yeah? So their bones wasted away. We now have children with osteoporosis. The worst place to get weak bones is the neck of femur, where the hip connects to the leg. That's where kids, if that's weak, that's where you fall. And when you fall, you break. That's why old people, when they fall over, that's why women who get osteoporosis end up dying, because they die from falling. But we've got that in kids now, because they're sitting all the bloody time.
Yeah.
Because they're not using the biggest muscles in their body and the biggest bones in their body, that neck of femur is wasting away. And we've got kids with osteoporosis, let alone kids with coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, depression. All of those old people's diseases have now become young people's and kids' diseases. An interesting one, I've listened to a really interesting lecture from a general in the American Army. He said, we're finding it really hard to recruit men into the Army in particular because their neck of femur has osteoporosis. We're spending millions of dollars trying to fix we're trying to get them strong again. And some of them have to have hip replacements because they've been sitting on their ass playing computer games all of their teenage life. They want to join the Army and they can't because their legs are too weak and they've got osteoporosis. That's wrong. That's just wrong. Yeah. Our kids have to stay fit and our kids have to stay strong. And this is my challenge. How do our kids know they can be fit and strong if their parents aren't? If their parents are depressed, if their parents are angry, if their parents are weak and unfit and out of shape, how do our kids know that they can be? They've got no other example.
Yeah.
They don't know. And that's what I take on board so seriously. I'm living my fit, healthy, strong life. I can't change adults. I don't think adults can do whatever they bloody well want. But I want if a kid looks into my life, and I've just been teaching little kids classes for K-Men's martial arts school, 4-year-olds through to 12-year-olds. And I joke with them all the time because I'm faster than them, quicker than them, stronger than them. I can do more push-ups than them. And I'm 5-6 times older than them. But that's because, and that they're there because their parents know it's important for them to stay fit and strong. I want them to look at me and I want to be their hero. Look at Rowie, she can do 50 push-ups. Look at Rowie, she can do 50 squat jumps. Look at Rowie, she can lift heavy weights. And she's an old lady. She's older than my grandma and she can do all of this stuff. See, that's inspiring. I don't want our kids to be inspired by rappers and movie stars and YouTubers. I want them to be inspired by their own parents to say, wow, my dad's really strong. My mum's really strong. My mum's really happy. We go on holidays where we go rock climbing and skiing and bike riding because my mum and dad can do it with me. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Absolutely. And that's what, funnily you mentioned that is a common goal I hear from a lot of women is that I just want to be able to run around with my kids. So, that want and that need is so deep within people that they need to use that as their reason why sometimes to get up, to remember why they're turning up to their gym and they're doing their session, or to remember why they're going to go to that hike they promised themselves they were going to do. What would your advice be?
Kids, at least do it for your kids.
Yeah. What would your advice be, or your, all your years experience for people that just really struggle to get up because of no motivation? And I don't like the word motivation because I believe it's no one, you can't really blame motivation for the reason why you don't do something. Like you're motivated after you do it, like it's the discipline and the need and the want that drives you to get up and do that session. But what advice would you give to people that just really struggle because of no motivation?
What a great question. An awesome question. All right. For me, there's 2 parts. And there is a reason why I don't teach classes anymore and why I don't run marathon anymore and why I don't do long, what I call long, boring or long, slow distance exercise. So I'm really busy and I don't have time. And to train for those big, long events, you supposedly need lots of time. But you're a really smart girl, and this is why I love investing time with you. When you're really fit and when you're really strong, you can do anything. But getting fit and getting strong is in the phosphate system, the energy system in the human body, the fight and flight system. The only energy system that you can work at 100% effort is the phosphate system, and that only lasts for 10 seconds. You can't put in 100% effort for longer than 10 seconds. It's not possible. Now, you might think you can, but after 10 seconds, you start pacing yourself. And after 10 seconds, you start producing lactic acid, which burns. That's where that burning sensation comes from. And for people who are unfit, they start to feel sick because their body's not used to lactic acid, so they actually feel nauseous. So for me as an exercise professional, I want to live the example that you can be fit and strong and not have to do hours and hours of exercise. And I'll put that into perspective. I want to be fit and strong so I can go and do hours and hours of the things that I love to do. Yeah. So for example, if you love going to PWRFIT and doing a class, you've got to be fit enough and strong enough to do the class. So if you get really fit and really strong, you can go and do the class and really enjoy it because you are really fit and strong. If you want to run a marathon, if you're really fit and strong, you can run a marathon any day of the week. and I can, and I do, because I work in my garden for 4, 5, 6, 8 hours, and I work really hard, longer than a marathon, but I'm fit enough and strong enough to do that. So to answer your question, that brain chemical change doesn't come from doing 45 minutes of exercise. It doesn't come from doing 10 minutes of exercise. It doesn't come from doing 1 minute of exercise. To get that brain chemical change, you've got to do 10 seconds of 100% effort. Now, I don't care how hard 100% is. It's only bloody 10 seconds. So in the morning, and this is really interesting because I'm standing in my gym right now and it's probably -2 or 3 degrees. It's pretty cold in here. When I come in here first thing in the morning, I get on my cross trainer and I go absolutely flat out for 10 seconds. I get warm, I change my brain chemistry, and I'm totally motivated for the day.
Yeah, exactly.
When I get on the cross trainer, I'm cold, I'm tired, I've had a busy week, I might not have slept very well, my body hurts because I've done stuff the day before. So in 10 seconds, I go from demotivated and tired and unenergetic to totally motivated. And that's not some guru thing. That's not some rah-rah, happy, chappy thing. That is your brain chemistry changing because you've forced your body to fight and flight. What happens in that situation is my brain says, there's an animal trying to kill her. Somebody's chasing her. We have to get her the hell out of here. And my brain chemistry changes. So when I finish my 10 seconds, I then have dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, pain-killing happy drugs. And if my dogs are here, oxytocin and brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So if you can't find 10 seconds to change your brain chemistry, which then changes your body chemistry, you probably deserve to be unhappy. It's only 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
And I know that sounds really harsh, but you said it beautifully. You don't get motivated and then go exercise. You exercise and that causes you to be motivated. And I'll even take the word exercise out. Put in 100% effort for 10 seconds. It doesn't matter what you do. Skip, punch, box, dance, run up some stairs, run through some soft sand. Doesn't matter what you do. If you do something for 10 seconds, you will be motivated. You can't help it.
Yes.
You can't. If you wanted to be grumpy after that 10 seconds, you couldn't be because you've changed your brain chemistry. Isn't that exciting?
Exactly. 10 seconds is all you need to get puffed at 100% maximum effort. Lift something heavy, 10 seconds, fire up all those muscles, and away you go. You're going to have the best day ever.
You can't, nothing is the same after that because your brain controls everything that you do. No one's going to dispute that. No one argues with that. No one argues that there's a fight and flight system and there's a phosphate system. And no one argues that when you go into the phosphate system, you produce epinephrine, adrenaline, and cortisol, so you can get away from the threat, or you can fight the threat. And then after you produce those chemicals, your brain automatically produces dopamine, serotonin, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and nobody argues that either. It just seems that there's a disconnection that we've got to do an hour of exercise or don't bother. Well, Renee, as you know, there's a lot of people that don't bother because it's too long.
Yeah.
Get fit and get strong so you can go and hike all day, so you can go and garden all day, so you can go to the gym and do a really hard class and really enjoy it because you are fit and strong.
Absolutely. So there you go, everyone. 10 seconds is all you need to get started in the day. You really only need 10 seconds. And if you haven't got that, then what else are you really doing?
Well, and here's the beautiful thing. Because it's a stress reliever, this is the ultimate stress reliever is 10 seconds of intense, and I won't call it exercise, I just call it intense activity, 100% intense activity. If you do, every time you feel stressed, say you have a bad telephone call, you have a fight with your partner, your kids are driving you crazy, you get a bill in the mail that scares you, the government does something stupid. Every time you feel that stress building up in your body, sprint on the spot, do some jump squats, do some push-ups, punch a bag, skip some ropes, run up and down the hallway flat out, and all of the stress goes away. But even better than that, brain-derived neurotrophic factor forces your brain to get better. It's a fertilizer. So not only do you feel better, but your brain now goes into creative solution finding, problem-solving mode. So everything gets better in 10 seconds. It's just, to me, this is such a simple process. So anytime throughout the day that you feel yuck, do something. So, for example, I often speak at teachers' conferences, principals' conferences to educators. And my goal is that in school, instead of a school bell that ends the end of the class or the end of the period or the end of the day, that every 15 or 20 minutes in a school, a bell goes and everybody gets up and sprints on the spot for 10 seconds and then just gets back to their work, whatever they're doing. The other thing is I wish kids weren't sitting down in school, because how ridiculous to stick your kids on their backside. Like, you take out the biggest muscles in your body, and your brain doesn't work effectively in that position. Your body doesn't work effectively in that position. Imagine if all kids did all day. Oh, you can't expect kids to stand up all day. Why not? Yeah. Your brain works better, your body works better, and you would be more energetic because you've got better blood flow and better circulation. But if every 15 or 20 minutes you then also sprinted on the spot, we would have smarter kids, happier kids, healthier kids. All the diseases that our kids are getting are all based on a poor immune system, a poor digestive system, weak bones, weak muscles, and an unfit brain. They're all the diseases we've got in kids. We could get rid of all of them. I do hope I sound now like an evangelist, because this is really important message that I just don't think is getting through from anywhere.
Yeah. It's so
powerful. Renee, go girl.
Exactly. We had a feedback form for my daughter's now at school, and we had a feedback form about, you know, what we thought the school needed to focus on. I said more movement. Kids need to be moving their bodies more. I would like to see less indoor time, more outdoor time. I would like to see more standing, less sitting. And those are all the things that are really important values of mine for my children, because they go from being at daycare, running around, doing whatever they want. You know, the daycare that my son goes to is a real outdoorsy one. So they're, you know, running up and down, splashing in muddy puddles, doing all sorts all day. And then they go to school and they're told to sit all day. And it just does not make sense to me. Why all of a sudden do they need to sit down, shut up, listen, and basically...
Well, like, if I could possibly, again, the South Island, New Zealand is a living, breathing example of this, and I've had contingents of school principals from the North Island literally travel down here to try and figure out why the kids are leaner, healthier, fitter, stronger, why do they get better marks at school? There seems to be some kind of disconnection that if I'm really fit and strong, that gives you a better brain. So you're going to do better maths and English as well.
Yeah.
So that's a beautiful example of that. But the one group in particular, there's a group of school principals from the North Island, from Auckland. They came down to the South Island to have a look at what the schools are doing down here. You know, in the South Island, there's snow skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking, rock climbing. They're all school subjects. They're part of the school curriculum. Yeah. But that all came from and please, if I can, I very rarely recommend material because we've all got different opinions about different stuff. But there's a gentleman by the name of Dr. John Ratey, Ratey, and he has written a book called Spark. It's not a story book. It's a scientific book because he's a psychologist from Harvard. And he's just studied what happens in schools where kids don't exercise and what happens in schools where kids do exercise. But not what happens to their physical body, what happens to their school marks, their actual education levels. And the two interesting ones, he went to South Korea and Taiwan, which the kids were forced. The two governments read his book and said, we think this is important. So they forced exercise into schools. They gave kids 1 extra hour of school every day. That was physical activity. And they put physical activity back into schools. And look what happened to the school marks. Wow. That book is you can listen to it on YouTube. You don't have to read the book. You can listen to it as an audio book. John Ratey, Spark. And I think it should be a textbook for every school teacher. And the reason I share that is our kids now seem to spend even more time with their teachers than they do with their parents. Yeah. And if our kids are sitting on their backside all day and they're inactive, we will have, like we do in New Zealand, a very unfit, weak nation. We have 1/3 of our population that has coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, depression, and obesity, or all 5 of them. I know we've heard a lot in the last few years about comorbidities, but that title, comorbidities, that existed before. That's when you die, and you could have died of 5 different things. We've got kids in New Zealand that have got coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, depression, and they're overweight, and they're children. And I think that's wrong. I just think it's wrong. It's not fair that you start your life like that. And we've got kids now dying before their parents because at least their parents had sport in school, but the kids don't. Yeah. So the kids end up dying before their own parents, and that's wrong too. Yeah. So I know it's a very negative, to me it's a positive topic because there's an outcome, we can fix it. But if we don't fix it, it's going to be a very negative outcome, and it makes me very, very sad. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak out loudly, because I just think it's so important.
Well, I think it just sums everything up so beautifully, and how important it is that we as parents or grandparents, or even just aunties, uncles, being role models to the younger ones in our lives, just humans. Yeah. We just need to make sure that we are putting in the energy and effort to make it a priority in our lives, to get puffed, lift heavy, move more, get outside more, and be the change our children need to see, be the examples our children need to actually see. And I think that sums it up beautifully. And if you're struggling right now out there to get moving, like, you need to dig deeper into your reasons why and how important it is for you, and use that as your driver to get up in the morning or finish your day at work, to get to your session, or to do something at home, at least just to continue moving your body. If not for yourself, for the kids.
Let's make it really practical, shall we?
Yeah.
If you have a coffee in the morning, you're going to put the kettle on. So while the kettle's boiling, sprint on the spot.
Yeah.
If you're going out and you're going to brush your teeth, which I hope you do, instead of just brushing your teeth, sprint on the spot while you brush your teeth. And I'll use an example for people who tell me they don't have time. I say, well, you put your socks in one room, and you put your shoes in another room, and you put your clothes in another room, and you put your makeup in another room, and you run from room to room to get dressed. Do you know, and this is without judgment, this is just a fact, there are women who spend more time putting their makeup on and doing their hair than they do on the rest of their body.
Yeah.
Even if you just invested the amount of time it takes you to do your hair, put your makeup on, that's the amount of time I invest in a whole week. My strength training program takes me 3 minutes, because I do 3 exercises. I go as hard as I can, wait till I get my breath back, go again. I spend less time on being fit and strong than I do on doing my makeup and my hair. But what's the point of painting over a rusty car? Yeah. What's the point of putting nice makeup on a body that's not healthy, trying to make it look good? And isn't it awesome that if you are fit and strong, you've got better hair, better skin, better nails, you've got great posture. Old ladies get bad posture because they've got osteoporosis.
Yeah.
Clothes look much better on a body that's got good posture. So if you don't like the way your clothes look, lift some heavy things and get good posture. It's not very complicated. And the other thing I have to touch on, because I'm sure that you deal with it every day like I do, we seem to be influenced by social media influencers. There's a lot of women who've asked me about, the latest drug that the Kardashians are taking, or the latest pill that some celebrities taking, or some enema they're doing, or, Rowie, does this work? I'm in conversation at the moment with the doctor who's getting her fat frozen off. Now, if you understand physiology, none of that works. And even if it works in the short term, so for example, some of the drugs that the celebrities are taking, they will certainly help you lose weight in the short term. But you're going to get diarrhea, and a lot of it is spontaneous diarrhea. So you're going to poo your pants and you don't even know you're going to poo your pants. They get headaches, they get nausea, they feel unenergetic, but they're skinny. Come on. Like, there's lots of tools to get your body looking good in the mirror. But surely we understand that looking good in the mirror is the outside effect of what's going on the inside.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how skinny you are or how good you look in your clothes. Surely you want to feel good on the inside and look good naked.
Yeah.
And all of those things, the fat freezing and the vibrating and the cellulite creams and pills and all the different diets, there's no diet on the planet that's going to make you fit and strong. Not one diet, nothing you eat will make you fit or make you strong. All it does is fuel you to be able to go at 100% effort. So if you're on some diet that's cut your calories and you can't eat enough food and you can't eat the foods that you love, so you feel miserable and grumpy, you won't be able to sprint and you won't be able to lift heavy, which means your body's going to waste away and you're going to end up fat, old and weak. And here's the most interesting example, is that there's very few women that have never dieted ever in their life. They found these women in rural farming areas that have never been on a diet. They've just eaten whatever they bloody well wanted their whole lives. And those women end up living better quality of lives, fitter, healthier and stronger and leaner than the women that have dieted all of their lives. So let me put that into perspective. The women that never dieted ended up thinner and looking better than the women that dieted all of their lives.
Absolutely.
So this thing about pills and potions and powders and diets and social media influencers and let's do the next latest fad thing. I've been on the planet for 60 years. Those fad things, they just keep coming and going. They just reinvent them and put another name on them. Get fit and get strong and everything else will be sorted. Isn't that exciting?
Exactly. That's the best diet.
Then you can eat whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I have to touch on that as well. We underestimate the hormonal system, the endocrine system. When you're fit and strong, every system's healthy, but so are your hormones. And I love sharing this because I'm an old lady, been through menopause, didn't even know that I went through menopause. I just said to my husband, I think I've been through menopause, I haven't got a period anymore. No hot flushes, no weight gain, no headaches, never had any, never challenge, no lack of sexual drive, nothing. Everything. I just went, oh, I think I've gone through menopause because I haven't had a period. The reason for that, of course, is that your endocrine system, your hormonal system, isn't just female hormones and emotion. It's your thyroid, which is your metabolism. It's your hypothalamus and your pituitary gland, which is that's the connection with the central nervous system. It's your adrenal glands. Everything works together to keep you not just alive, but to thrive so that you are a sexual being, so that you can reproduce. Is this all coming together?
Absolutely.
So if you have a healthy hormonal system, then everything works. Now, your hormonal system is also responsible to tell you when you're hungry so that you don't starve. It tells you when you're full so that you don't overeat. It tells you when you're thirsty so that you don't die of dehydration. Your hormonal system tells you that you're tired, so you should go to sleep. And melatonin, a hormone, also tells you it's time to go to sleep. And then epinephrine, it's time to get up. Yeah. That's all the hormonal system, yeah? So the beautiful thing is I love food, and I'm going to share this passionately and openly. I don't usually talk about food, but I have to because so many people are on a diet and I can't have carbs and I can't eat chocolate and I can't have chips and everything's bad for me. Isn't it exciting and isn't it possible that if you've got an endocrine system that works, when you're full, you don't want to eat anymore. There's none of this, I've got to eat the whole packet. You can't because you're full. So I love chocolate and I love cake and I love biscuits and I love hot chips and gravy on a cold day. And I eat all of them. But if I'm full, you can put my favorite food in front of me and I don't want any more because I'm full. That's a healthy hormonal system, yeah? So you eat when you're hungry, you stop eating when you're full, but it gets more exciting. Because you're fit and strong, you've got a fast base metabolic rate. So you burn a large number of calories just to stay alive. Because you're spiking your metabolism throughout the day because you're doing high intense activity, you've got a naturally high metabolism all day long. So you need more calories just to live throughout the day. But you also change your respiratory quotient, which is where those calories are coming from. So if you're sprinting all the time, your body says, we've got to keep that half a kilo of stored carbohydrate because we only store half a kilo. You know, when people say carbs make you fat, that stuff between your skin and your muscle, that's not carbohydrate. That's fat. And if you eat too much carbohydrate, of course it can turn into fat. If you do too much of anything, it wrecks your body. But if you've got full carbohydrate stores and you've got a healthy hormonal system, you can puff, you can lift heavy, and then your body says, I want to save the half a kilo of carbohydrate for every time she lifts heavy or every time she sprints. So for the rest of the time, I'm going to make sure that her body's burning fat as a preferred energy source. So you end up, and you hear me say this all the time, you end up turning your body into a fat burning machine because that's what it is. Yeah. So you can't get fat if you wanted to. You can't put on weight if you wanted to because you're so fit and strong that your body doesn't let you eat too much. And if you eat too much because you went to I don't know, you don't even want to, you can't. But let's just say for some reason you went to an Italian family who said you have to eat this, otherwise you're a bad person because grandma will get it, Nonna will be upset. If you eat too much and you've got a fast endocrine system or a fast hormonal system and metabolism, have you ever noticed, and this only happened to me in the last couple of days, where if you eat too much, your body burns it up. You wake up in the middle of the night sweating because your body says, you've given me too much food, I need to get rid of it because we don't need this. Yeah. So your body, your hormonal system controls everything. Yes. So when you're fit and strong, you control everything.
Absolutely.
So get puffed to be fit, lift heavy to get strong, and your whole life, this is how simple it is. Every part of your life will be better. Yeah. Every part of your life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rowie.
you. I'm sure you are amazing.